Hi everybody, it's Johnny here, and this is part 8 of my series on the chakra system in the human body, the human system. This week we are looking at the ultimate and the highest chakra of them all, which is known as Sahasrara, or the crown chakra. As it says, the location is round about where the crown of the head is, except you have to go up a little bit because it's not actually in the human body, it's just above the head. And there's a good reason for that, which we will go into. I'm not in my regular meditation studio this week. I'm actually in my camper van because I've got a lot of stuff in there at the moment, which we'll be moving out. But anyway, back to this week. So we've been on a journey up through the chakra system, starting at the root, right down at the base of the spine, and then we've moved up. We've seen how, looking at the chakra system as a whole, that these are energy centers in the body. There are 72,000 nadis, which are the channels that carry prana energy, life force energy, otherwise known as Shakti, otherwise sometimes particularly in the central Sushumna region, we get what's known as Kundalini as well. So Shakti is a female deity in the Hindu and yogic traditions, and we see that basically she's a feminine energy. So when we're starting right down at the root and we're on a journey up, each chakra that we go through, and there are 7 in all, as I've said, 7 main chakras which follow this central channel, which is called the Sushumna. There are 2 sort of minor, lesser channels, the Ida and the Pingala, which also sort of are either side of this. And as the energy travels up through the body, it goes through different parts and different systems which affect us physically. They also affect us emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. So they affect us in every aspect of ourselves as human beings. So today we're going to be looking at the most exalted, the highest, the most important, I suppose you could say, chakra of them all. As I say, this is located just above the crown, and the reason for it being above the crown and not actually part of the body is because this is our connection to the divine, to God, to the universe, to something that's bigger than us. Now, I don't subscribe to any particular religion or particular tradition, but I do recognise that in every culture, every religion, every tradition, there are truths, and this idea of energy centres in the body and energy being transported through the body is common to a lot of different traditions. What I'll be talking about is kind of mostly related to the yogic traditions, because that's more what I am kind of familiar with in this particular setting. But you'll find it in a lot of other particular traditions like Gnosticism, Buddhism, a lot of different, even in psychology and the works of Carl Jung and things like that as well. You'll find this idea of energy moving through the body, and there being different types of bodies as well, bodies within bodies, if you like. I won't go too much into that this week, but so why is this sort of the most important one? Why is it the highest one? Well, if we take a sort of an overall view, we start down at the bottom of the system at the root chakra, and here, if you like, this I am repeating myself a little bit, but I just want you to get the big picture. That's the reason why. So when we start down at the root, we're looking at getting our basic human needs met. Basically, the need for basic things like food, water, light, heat, sex, just basic sustenance, a roof over our head, shelter. It's raining at the moment, so I'm glad this roof over my head, certainly. But all of these things are basic needs. You could say in the modern world, you could even possibly factor in something like money, because money is kind of a token, if you like. It's an exchange token that we exchange money for goods, whatever. It has no sort of magical value in itself, even though some people seem to think it does, but it's representative of an exchange system. So when we're at the lowest level, we're dealing with these sort of basic things like that we need, things to sustain us basically in our life and get us through our life. At the second level, we've moved up from the base, and I should say as well, also at the root, this is where we're actually absorbing those earth energies coming up from the earth itself. So the prana energy that enters the body at the root, it comes in through there, and it's the chakras are depicted as vortices, sort of, if you can imagine, like a swirling sort of funnel effect. So the one there at the base is actually drawing up energy from the earth into the system to feed the system. This is the basic intake of that energy from the earth. We do have another intake. I shall go into that in a little bit. So after this first stage at the root chakra, the Muladhara chakra, we move up to the next one, which is the Svadhisthana chakra, also known as the sacral chakra, which is in our belly, just an inch or two below the navel. It's we talked about this being the center of sort of reproduction, but it's, generally we talk about that being as responsible for our sort of seeking pleasure. So we've moved from the point of just getting our needs met to now we want to have a pleasant life. We want to enjoy life. We want to be fulfilled and satisfied in every aspect of our lives. It's also classed as the energy center that's related to our creativity as well. Hence, it relates to sort of the reproductive organs as well, the physical level. And then we have this river of Shakti that's flowing up, bringing energy up from the root. So after going through this chakra, this sacral chakra, we come to the next one, which is the Manipura chakra, also known as the solar plexus, and this is the center of our decision making, where we decide to take control of our own life, or if it's unbalanced, of course, other people or other things can take control of our life. But for it to be working properly, to be balanced, for energy to be flowing, then we are at the point where we're able to make our decisions. I talked about the fact that the lower three chakras are common to everybody on the planet, basically all of humanity. They all have those working to a certain extent, and even even the least sort of spiritually minded person can have very strongly open and working root, sacral and solar plexus chakras. But usually for those people who are not interested in those who were more interested in themselves, their own interests, pleasing themselves, enjoying life for themselves, and not really being very interested in perhaps anybody other than maybe their very closest relation, or maybe not even them, then for those people we find that they are probably limited to these three chakras. To go a stage further to the Anahata chakra, the heart chakra, we need to make a bit more of an effort. And I talked about the fact it's almost like sort of travelling upstream and through a little tributary. So instead of the big river, we're coming into a narrower path here. So we come to the heart area, centre for love, compassion, kindness. And this we're showing to others, and we're also showing to ourselves, hopefully, if the chakra's clear, it's balanced, and the energy's flowing nicely. If it's not, then obviously that leads to a lot of kind of emotional problems, not able to love oneself, or certainly show love to other people as well. All of these kind of issues come to mind. But in order for it to be working properly, it takes effort. Because it's the point where we have moved from just being interested in our own interests to being interested in others as well, and kind of we're starting to see others around us and starting to be aware of them and our interaction with them. A lot more so when we come up to the Vishuddha chakra, which is the throat chakra. And when we get to this chakra, we're starting to really have a two-way conversation. We're starting to have an interaction with others. It's not just about us expressing ourselves, because that is very important. It's also about listening as well. So we have that connection, that two-way connection. Then when we come up to the chakra that we spoke about last time, the third eye, or the Ajna chakra, then we're very much looking at much deeper things. We're looking at things that extend beyond just our five senses, just the material, natural world around us. We started to look at things like intuition, psychic abilities, and being able to see the big picture. We spoke about the fact that it's to do with imagination as well, and it's been a very, very important aspect of our being in that way. It's starting to connect us with the divine. It's starting to connect us with the universe, and we're able to kind of open up at another level, really. So we're definitely talking about things that, even though all human beings have got some sort of experience of using that Ajna chakra, the third eye, with their imagination, daydreaming, having a plan, having a vision, whatever, seeing something in the mind kind of idea, to develop that really to the level where we're getting sort of intuition at a kind of, from other sources, the divine, spirits, just other energies from the universe generally, then we certainly need to develop that. For all of these chakras, meditation is a big part of opening them and getting them working as they should. We looked at all the other sort of practices as well that are involved with that. Each one has its different practices, and each one affects the human physical body as well in a way related to the area that it's near to. So today we're on the final one in our system, and this one is the Sahasrara chakra, otherwise known as the crown chakra. So if you think of all of the other 6 main chakras as being in the human body, this one is just outside, and it represents the fact that we have a connection to the divine, we have a connection to the universe, but the fact that we have to raise our consciousness to the point where we actually make that connection. So anybody really that's not interested in the spiritual, should we say, in anything that's kind of outside their kind of normal 5 senses, that's outside the normal egoistic attitude of life. We looked at the fact that the ego is something that we're not really born with, but it's something that we build on, that we grow as we go through life. It's the character that we become, if you like. When we get to the place of the Sahasrara chakra, we are actually trying to what's known as dissolve the ego. We're actually trying to, well, we've got to get to the point really where the ego and the false self that we've developed for ourselves is not important to us anymore. That's the only way really to activate and to get this chakra really working. Similarly to the third eye chakra, and these two are very sort of closely limited, very closely linked, I should say, not limited, very closely linked. The Sahasrara and the Ajna kind of work together a lot. Excuse the noise, the rain's coming down very strongly, so I'll raise my voice a little bit so you can hear me above the rainstorm that's going on out there. I'll just pause this for a moment actually. So the Ajna and the Sahasrara are both giving us a connection to things that are outside of us, outside of our normal realm of sort of physical experience. And they are two chakras that really need, in order for them to be developed and opened to a working level, we need to work on the spiritual side of ourselves. I mentioned that meditation was relevant to all of the chakras, much more so to the third eye. In order to really open that, we use things like visualization, we use things like, using our imagination, but meditation is a big thing, is a big part of that as well. There are various yogic practices as well which do kind of help to activate and enliven this chakra. So when we come to the crown chakra, really it's the relationship to this is really on that sort of spiritual level. It's concerned with spiritual awakening, enlightenment, universal consciousness. It's to do with our connection to the divine, to the universe, and it's to do with a balance between body, soul and spirit. So sort of the mind, the emotions, the body, the senses and the spirit, our connection to the divine. These things all come together at this particular point. The symbol for the crown, the Sahasrara chakra, is the 1,000-petal lotus. Excuse my rather novice drawing there. It's met 1,000 folds, 1,000 petals. That's basically what it means, but the idea is that it's almost a sort of a limitless number of petals, and each one of those petals represents a different aspect of the mind, of consciousness, of our interaction between the physical, the mental, the emotional, the divine, etc. It's a very, very complex sort of relationship. Now, if some of the chakras kind of shout more loudly than others, then if we go right all the way down to the root, then it's shouting pretty loudly, feed me, clothe me, keep me warm, give me what I need. Some of the other chakras, please me, give me pleasure at the sacral chakra and the solar plexus chakra. I want power, I want control, I want to, I want all of these sort of things. These chakras, the basic ones, are kind of shouting loudly. As we come up to the heart, not so, more subtle. We come up to the throat, a little bit more subtle too. We've got to really engage the ears, really got to listen in order to hear and engage with this one. The third eye, we've got to look very carefully, or we will miss things. Be aware, be conscious, be mindful. When we come to the crown chakra, this is even more so. So if the root chakra was a loud roaring lion of a voice, then the crown chakra is almost like a whisper. It's a quiet, it's a small, it's a still voice. It's not shouting, it's there, it's speaking if we will listen. Probably the most important practice that we can engage in with this one is meditation itself, because meditation is the best way that we can still our own mental chatter, the monkey mind, the brain, the noise of the brain, the noise of all the thoughts that are popping into our head all the time, all the ideas that are coming in there, all the emotions that we have going on. Really, what we're doing when we reach the crown chakra is we're starting to have a dissolution, a dissolving of all of this ego, all of this self with a small s, because we're wanting to connect with the true self, and we want to connect on a level that we've probably never experienced before in our lives. As I said, very few people really are truly engaging with this chakra, but don't let that put you off, because this is a chakra that is very important for us to develop and engage with on every level. So let's have a look what we got. What can we say? So we looked at the different elements that are associated with the different chakras. So coming up from the root, we've got earth, we've got water, we've got fire, we've got air, we've got ether or space, akash if you like. Then we've got spirit, and at the third eye, and then at this level we are talking about connection with consciousness. And when I talk about consciousness, I mean the one consciousness that pervades everything, the universe, the consciousness that created everything, created the universe. We look at the symbol Om, because Om is very important, because it's the primal sound. In an earlier video I looked at how we have the different sections of the Om to do with the different levels of consciousness, eventually going up to the little dot at the top, which is Turiya, which is experienced when we go through a state of Samadhi. Samadhi is another important term which relates primarily to the crown chakra. What is Samadhi? Samadhi is a state of bliss. It's a state that is potentially possible for anybody to reach with diligence, following the spiritual practices, certainly through meditation. It's not something that can easily be attained, but it is a level that we can reach where we actually experience oneness with the divine, with God, with the universe, and we start to understand. And understanding true knowledge is what the Sahasrara crown chakra is all about. If the third eye chakra, the Ajna chakra, was to do with seeing, the throat chakra, the Vishuddha chakra, was to do with hearing and speaking, well, the Sahasrara is to do with knowing, having knowledge. And I could talk to you all day long about what an experience of the divine, or what an experience of unity consciousness and expanded consciousness, enlightenment is all about. But all I can do is just use my human words, expressions. It's literally something that we have to experience for ourselves. We can talk about it till the cows come home, but until we actually have an experience of that, we won't really know what it really means, how it really feels. So we start to talk about our connection to others through the other chakras, going from the heart upwards really, but this is the one where we're actually connecting with the entire universal consciousness, even beyond humanity, beyond people, beyond nature, beyond spirits that may be around us, beyond the whole understood or viewed universe that we can look at and see in space, even to the very creator, the very spirit that created the higher being, the creator, which in the Hindu tradition we look at the character of Shiva as being the kind of the ultimate figure. And which brings me really to the activation of this chakra, and what does that mean, and how does it what does it do to our system? Well, we started by looking at the root, and we talked about this energy, Shakti energy, which is located at the root, often seen as Kundalini. And the Kundalini is represented by a serpent, a snake, which is coiled at the at the base of the spine, ready to rise and ascend up through the other chakras. Eventually, ultimately, the goal is to reach the crown. Now, all of the things that we do, all of the practices that we can do to kind of open those chakras, we're trying to sort of coax this energy to flow upwards. When we get to the crown chakra, it's a bit different, because the crown chakra, as I say, it's located just above the crown of the head. And from this particular point, the energy is not being drawn up from the earth as we see at the root. The energy is actually waiting to descend through the crown and down through the Sushumna, down through each chakra one at a time. So in working on this chakra and sort of encouraging this chakra to open, doing the practices, putting in the time with meditation, visualization, mindfulness, all of these are excellent practices. What else have I put down there? Yeah, mostly those things. Nadi Shodhana is a practice that I can show you as well, which helps to activate this. So this, I'll go through the mudras in a minute, but I'll show you this one because I'm actually at this point now. So if we take our right hand, traditionally, if you're left-handed, it's fine, use the left hand. But if you're right-handed, as I am, what we do is we take our thumb of the right hand, put it on the right nostril like this, blocking off the flow of air. Okay, we want to keep these two fingers out of the way, the index finger and the middle finger. We can, if we wish, place those on the area of the third eye, like so. I won't leave them there because you can't see my face. Or we can just sort of hold them out the way like that. And then we take the middle finger and the little finger of that hand, hold them here, because we're going to use that to close the left nostril. But first of all, breathing in through the left nostril, we take a deep breath in. Then we switch. We breathe out through the right nostril, breathe it through the nose. Then we breathe in through the right nostril. We switch. I hope that makes sense. Certainly watch it back through if it doesn't. This is an excellent way because it helps. Again, it's a means of focus, but it's an excellent way to encourage the crown chakra to activate and to open. So it's basically alternate nostril breathing. So breathing in through the left, out through the right, and then in through the right, and then out through the left and in through the left, and we can do that of a few cycles as long as you wish to go on with that. It is a good one for this particular chakra. Visualization is good, and the color for the crown chakra is the color violet. So the spectrum of light, as we perceive it as human beings, goes from red all the way to violet through the colours, and the colours of the chakras mirror those colours, like the colours of the rainbow, as it were. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet. Out above violet is ultraviolet, below red is infrared. These we can't see. So representing the crown chakra is the colour violet. So that's the highest sort of wavelength of the in the spectrum. Also the colour white, because light in its purest form it appears as white, and then if we put it through a prism we can see those 7 colours of the spectrum, and sort of everything in between as well. So yeah, so it's good to in our visualization we can visualize this violet light just above the crown of the head, or we can visualize white. Almost the gold is another sort of color that's synonymous with it as well. But yeah, to visualize kind of violet going out into white, and these are colors that can be seen when we get into that deep meditative state, and we sort of going from the beta brain waves to alpha, and then potentially out even to the gamma waves, brain waves as well. So yeah, so as I mentioned, the 1,000 petal lotus, that's to do with all the different aspects of that deeper consciousness. So what else can I say? So if we get this chakra really balanced, then we're going to have things like peace of mind. We're going to have a deep sense of peace. Ultimately, after that stage of reaching like samadhi and really deep states of meditation, we can actually experience a lasting peace that isn't really affected by what's going on around us, the circumstances, the troubles of life and things like that. We can actually get to a point where we can kind of transcend that. States of bliss, joy, feelings of really being sort of elevated, and not egotistically but in a spiritual sense, of really having this sense of deep sort of bliss. These are things that are synonymous with this particular chakra. When there are problems at this chakra, it can lead to things like depression. It can lead to things like feelings of alienation, because, as I said, the plus side of this is the unity consciousness. So when the energy is really flowing here, we start to see that we are all basically one. There's not me and you and the person next door and the dog and the tree and the planets and the clouds and the wind and everything else. Everything is basically one. It's one existence. It's one consciousness, and everything comes and flows from one divine consciousness. As we get into that, also we get things like understanding of that unity consciousness. We become more aware, more awake, and our wisdom will grow as well. We start to kind of know the right thing to do. So it's going up from the point of the third eye, where we see things, we see truths. This is the point now where we actually kind of just know. We just know things. outside of our, not, yeah, I'm not talking about things that we've been educated in, things that we've learnt, but things that we've never learnt, things we've never been taught. We will just have a knowing about things. You know, we could get to that point where we walk into a room and we just know things about people in that room. We just have an inner sort of knowing. This is the kind of experience that is possible with activation of the Sahasrara chakra. So yeah, meditation, mindfulness are things that can help us to unblock this, and ultimately at this stage of this chakra, what we're hoping to do is we're trying to transcend the ego. So that character that we've built up for ourselves, you know, my name, who were my parents, where did I go to school, what's my level of education, what job do I have, what kind of house do I live in, what kind of car do I drive, where do I go on my holidays. All of these things are all related to the ego, even in the spiritual sense. And this is where it starts to get a little bit more subtle. So, you know, we're on a spiritual journey, and I believe that if you're listening to this and you've got this far, that you too are on a spiritual journey, and you're interested in spiritual truths. Well, there's an ego trap even in that, because we can get to the point where we start to think, oh, you know what, I'm enlightened, I'm deep, I've got this spiritual practice, I'm meditating, I'm seeing these things, I'm hearing these things, I'm connecting with spirit, I'm connecting with the universe, and things like this. And this in itself can become an ego trap, because we start to create this new character for ourselves. So if we were like, you know, the CEO of Coca-Cola, and we had a, you know, a billion dollar house, you know, on the coast of Italy or something like that, you know, and drove a Ferrari and went with Jeff Bezos into space, and this is the person that we are because we're so fantastic. Well, you know what, we've dissolved that bit of ego, because now we live in this spiritual life. We've left it all behind, all that fantastic stuff that we had there, that people in the kind of our culture and civilization look at and think, oh yeah, wow, they've made it, you know, they're this wonderful successful person. We've understood and we've comprehended that basically that is worth diddly squat when it comes to spirituality. We've left it all behind. We've given all our money away to the poor. We spend all our time in meditation and prayer and spiritual practices, yoga, and, you know, we're out there doing good, feeding the poor and cutting people's lawns and helping old ladies across the street and everything else. We realise this, but that in itself can become like an ego trap, because we can now think, wow, you know, I've reached this level. You know, I'm not saying that you're going to be like, whoa, look at me, yeah, Mr. Spiritual, Mrs. Spiritual. But what I'm saying is, subconsciously, in the subconscious, we can feel that we've reached this level. Well, the crown chakra is the point at which even that sense of attainment in spiritual terms is even dissolved, to the point where we realise, and this is a subtle realisation, and this develops through us on our spiritual journey. We realise that the more that we know, the more we experience, the further that we go, literally there's just so much out there to know, to experience, to be part of, that we realise that we know nothing. We are nothing, we know nothing, because there's just an infinite amount out there. You know, if you kind of know anything about like astronomy and space and things like that, you know, the kind of the trillions of stars, planets, solar systems, you know, galaxies that are out there in the known universe, and then you know, scientists will tell us that there are multiple universes, and then outside of that there are multiple dimensions in which there may be infinite numbers of universes, and you think to yourself, gosh, I am so insignificant. And yet here's the paradox: all of that is contained within the human spirit, or encapsulated and locked up inside us, because God dwells within us and we contain God, we are God. And this is a complete paradox. This is something that we cannot grasp with our minds, with our intellect, with our emotions. This is something that only spirit can actually understand. So we are on this level where we're starting to understand this. And as I mentioned, unity consciousness as well. We start to understand that we are part of one big consciousness. Yeah, I'll briefly mention mudras as well. So there's a couple of mudras. There's the Varuna mudra, which is a good one. I always like to do two different types of mudra. One that we can use with one hand, one or two hands, because it's good when we are chanting our mantra. It's good to be able to adopt a single-handed mudra like that. What I like to do, so I use this mudra as an example. So I'm going through. I've got my mala there on my middle finger. So as I'm going through there, and I'm chanting and I'm counting as I go through each one there, as I've moved on my bead, I've then made the reconnection with my fingers together again in between. It's not necessary, but you know what? Hey, I think every connection, every little bit of practice, it's all good. It's all good for the system. It's all good for the chakra system. So that's by the by, but that's something that I like to do. The other one, which is you can kind of use it in two ways really. So the Mukla mudra is like this. So we put the tips of all of the fingers and the thumbs together like that. We bring the hand together like that to bring it into sort of a point shape, if you can see that there. And this is symbolic of we talked about the 1,000-petal lotus. This is symbolic of a lotus in bud. So literally we're representing the potential energy, the potential for growth, the potential for expansion of consciousness. And we know from the things that we've been talking about that the amount of expansion is unlimited, but this represents the potential. So a good one when we're meditating or chanting, doing japamala, etc. It's a good one to hold there. Another version of this one, which might be time limited depending on your own practice, but what we can do is we can open this one out as well, and we keep the thumbs and the little fingers, the pinky fingers, together like this, and then we extend out the index, middle and ring fingers like that. So this is the flowering lotus, and we can place that above the crown like that, or we can place it maybe even in front of the third eye. That's another way to do. So it's a lot of these practices are good for both the third eye and the crown, the Ajna and the Sahasrara chakras. And then coming back to our mantra for this one, we are again the same as with the third eye, the Ajna. We're using the Om mantra again. So what I like to do with this one, and this is my particular practice, what I like to do is, so we break the Om chant into the 3 syllables, the A, the U and the M. So in my visualization of this, as I chant Om, I like to feel at the root the Ah sound, visualize the red colour, feel the sensation. Then the Ooh sound I like to feel at the heart, visualizing the green colour of the Anahata chakra. And then the sound I like to feel that resonant vibration in the head, particularly vibrating in through the temples. And as the more we do that, the more we start to feel the sensation at the actual crown of the head. Similarly to what I said about the third eye chakra and feeling the sensation there at the third eye when we're visualizing and when we're chanting. Similarly, we will, the more we meditate and certainly chant this particular mantra, and if we combine it as well with the mudra at the same time, even better. We will start to feel the sensation, maybe a tingling, maybe a little bit of pressure at the top of the head. But it certainly is something that I've experienced, and hopefully you'll experience it as well. As regards things that you might see and experience, the possibilities are absolutely limitless. I mean, certainly similarly to the third eye, you know, could quite easily see things like lights. As I say, the colour violet is something that you may visualise, but you may actually sort of see it sort of spontaneously. Again, that's the interaction between the third eye and the crown, is you're actually starting to see some of these colours. The white, the bright white sort of dancing lights almost that I've actually experienced, these sort of almost like specks of light dancing around. Again, that's relevant and relative to the crown chakra. But yeah, I mean, an experience is one thing, but you have to experience it for yourself. I can talk about what I've experienced, and you may experience different things, but bear in mind, as I said, this is the highest chakra. This is the one that's the ultimate one, and it's to do with our ultimate level and state that we can reach really as human beings. It's something that yogis, holy people, saints have spent lifetimes trying to develop. We see sort of classical artwork, and we see depicted a halo around the head. Again, this is very much comes from the idea that we have above our head, not in the body, but just above the head, this connection with the divine. So very much the same sort of symbolization as that of the crown chakra. So yeah, so really it's kind of the ultimate goal is to reach that state of enlightenment where our consciousness becomes the consciousness of the divine. We kind of merge into that. And you know, people have said, people that have reached these higher states, that and people have said of these people that they're almost like they're still in the world, they're still inhabiting this physical earth, but it's almost like they're almost like somewhere else almost. And you might think, it's not for me, I want to keep my feet on the ground, whatever. That's it, you know, it's not something that you're going to fall into, should we say. This is something that if you really are desperately want to seek that deep spiritual connection with the divine, with the universe, with every other being in the universe, then it's the gateway, the portal to make that connection is through the crown chakra, through the Sahasrara chakra. That's our portal, that's our gateway. It's a door to the universe, basically. Everything that's out there. It's a door, it's a gateway to that. People so much want to experience this joy, this bliss, this ecstasy, that people will take drugs to do it. You know, they're not really going to ultimately attain that state, but they will get. It is possible for humans to have little glimpses into this, you know, through things like psychedelics, magic mushrooms, LSD, you know, you name it, different sort of these kind of, you know, ayahuasca, different things like that. People try to experience these things. I'm not advocating that you or any of us try those things, because they're a poor substitute for the real thing. And the real thing is to really seek. And as it says in one great book, the Bible, it says, seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you. For whoever seeks will find. And that's true. And you'll find that similar sort of sayings in other scriptures that you read, you know. Great one. The Upanishads is a really good one to read, you know, the Bhagavad Gita, things like this give insights into these deep states of consciousness, deep states of being beyond our normal physical reality. It's the reason why yogis, saints and people have gone into the Himalayas, into the mountains to find solitude. It's a point at which you can become so engrossed with the divine that you literally don't need anything else. You don't need anybody else. People will do things to enhance their physical not the physical state, but they'll do things to kind of almost lessen the other sensations in the body, like people will fast and things like that, so that they get to the point where, you know, food or even water are kind of deprived from them, so they get to that point where they've kind of transcended their kind of physical needs. You know, people will sit in meditation for hours, days even, to get to these states. This is just simply to let you know the lengths that people go to kind of reach these states. There's no one way. Don't let that put you off. Don't think to yourself, I'm never going to get to that point. I'm never going to go up a mountain in the Himalayas and spend days without food and water and without moving and whatever. So it's never going to happen to me. There's no one fixed prescription for this that I can give you. All I can say is I'm like you. I'm on a journey. I'm on a pathway, and frankly, I want to get as high. I want to get as high as I can. Not high as in the sense of taking drugs or, you know, substances like that. I want to get high on the divine. I want to get high on universal consciousness. I want to get high in combining my body, soul and spirit together to the point where I've reached that level, because that's the ultimate human condition that we can reach. I'm not there yet, not by a long chalk, but it's something to aim for if you are that way inclined. But every one of these chakras has got wonderful benefits. Even just the partial opening of the crown chakra will bring you great wisdom and understanding. You know, we talk about common sense. It gives you like almost like a super version of common sense, where you're just able to just like, somebody will say something and you just see through. You'll you'll just know the truth behind what they're actually saying. You know, you'll walk into a room and you'll just sense the vibrations of energy, the atmosphere in that room. You'll know what's going on. I could go on all day. As I said, with each one of these chakras, I could go on further and further, longer and longer. But you know what? I've waffled on long enough with this one. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me. If this makes sense, and I hope it does, why not just give it a thumbs up? If you've got any questions about this, I'll try and answer them if I can. It's probably the most profound and most difficult one to answer. But you know, pop something down in the comments box if you found something interesting. If you want to share something, if you want to ask a question, that's fine as well. All great. Keep meditating every day. Make it a practice. Read some spiritual texts. Find out more about it. All of these things, all of the practices, practicing yoga, practicing the mudras, practicing the mantras, chanting the mantras. They're all fantastic. They all help us because they've all been designed for thousands of years to enhance and to open up all of these energy centers in the body. And then the final place is where that divine energy is coming down from above. It's descending down from the crown. It's starting to activate the chakras from above. So you're coming down, you're activating them all, coming down the system there, down the Sushumna, and then eventually it goes down, and the masculine energy of Shiva meets the feminine energy of Kundalini, of Shakti. They combine together in this divine union of male and female, and all of those chakras start to open, and we start to function as beautiful human beings. I'm on the journey with you. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, thank you for joining me. If you like this, subscribe to the channel. Check out some of the other videos as well. And further than that, all I will leave you with is to say to you, I see the divine in you. Namaskaram.